Well, now to our top story this half hour. The effort to normalize trade relations with Cuba is gaining strength in the Buckeye State. Today, the group Engage Cuba has announced the creation of an Ohio State Council. Well, joining us today live from our Washington, D.C. bureau is James Williams, president of Engage Cuba. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Williams.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, so if you could give us an overview, tell us more about the organization, when and why exactly it was created.
Sure. Engage Cuba is the leading coalition of private sector companies and organizations working to lift the travel and trade embargo on Cuba. We think it's one of the rare unicorns for the United States, where what's good for rural America, what's good for farmers, what's good for business is also the right thing to do for the Cuban people. So we started after the president's announcement in December of 2014 that we're starting a new path. And we're really excited to bring this effort forward, both in Ohio, but in states across the country.
So as far as the formation of the council is concerned, who all is involved in the organization's new council?
Yeah, we have an incredibly diverse bipartisan array of Ohio leaders, both the Ohio Farm Bureau, the Soybean Association, the wheat and corn growers, the port authorities, but then we also have folks like the president of Ohio State University, Procter & Gamble. And so it's really a diverse mix from agricultural to manufacturing to education to leaders even in the Cuban American community who see a new approach. And we could not be more thrilled about it.
So many organizations in the state of Ohio getting involved. Is this something that you're hoping is going to catch on in other states across the country?
Yeah, we're launching this council, or we're also rolling out a new poll that we did about a month ago in Ohio, Tennessee, Indiana, and Iowa. And the numbers in Ohio are just outstanding. It's 78% of Ohioans across party lines support lifting the embargo with Cuba. So I think we want to make it clear that the people of Ohio want their representatives to take action on this, both from the agricultural perspective, but also from broader, it's the right thing to do for America and for Cuba. And this is on the heels of a state council launch we did in Tennessee in December. And then just later this month, we're going to be going to New Orleans and Baton Rouge to kick off our Louisiana State Council. So this is really just the beginning of a larger multi-state effort.
I wanted to ask you about this. Cuba is a close export market, but it's also a really small country. So why is it so important to normalize the trade relations with the island nation?
Well, I mean, so Cuba, to put it in context, is a $2 billion agricultural importer. The United States is about 10% of that market, when we should naturally be significantly higher. Before the embargo, the U.S. was the #1 agricultural exporter to Cuba. And more broadly, this is a competitive global agricultural market, as you know. Prices are softening, and so I don't think we should be, as a country, locking ourselves out of any market, regardless of its size, and particularly given Cuba's proximity, it's a natural partner for the United States.
And of course, all of our viewers, are America's farmers and ranchers. So the important question I definitely want to ask you is, what is this going to mean when we open up these relations with Cuba? What does it mean to our farmers and ranchers right here in the U.S.?
I mean, it could mean a tremendous amount. And so, for example, for Ohio, we're the #1 export producer on the agricultural side, being soy and wheat. Soy and corn. We're talking about Cuba imports about 25% of their $2 billion. So we're talking about a $500 million potential market just in those two commodities alone. And so, in particular, we're also seeing, as Cuba develops, as its economy improves with the relations with the United States, we expect that to grow. And so we're talking about, a multi-billion-dollar potential market for U.S. agriculture, and that is a significant development.
It certainly is. Well, we certainly appreciate your time today. Once again, James Williams, president of Engage Cuba, announcing the formation of an Ohio Council, and hopefully we'll speak with you again in the very near future. Once again, James Williams.
Thank you so much.